The planning committee met this afternoon. We are now meeting twice per month. We've adjusted our schedule, so we'll be meeting next Monday as well. Our new schedule is the first and second Mondays of the month at 5 p.m. Meeting room over there. I also assume actually that means if a council meeting in the first 2 weeks of the month falls on a Tuesday, that we'll meet on a Tuesday. So there are a number of things that we're doing. We're looking at all the permitted and conditional uses in each residential zone, looking at putting those uses in a table format so you can easily see where different types of uses are permitted, where they're conditional, and then where we will be able to see which ones are missing, which ones should be allowed in a zone, where it's unusual for something to be allowed in a zone, and also where different uses in different zones are defined slightly differently. We're going through each chapter, each zone, looking for conditional uses that shouldn't be there, or other simple fixes that need to be made in terms of the listed uses or the definitions of those uses. And there's a lot of different discussion about in what order we're going to do those things, and which is higher priority, and what is the best approach to this review of the code. We're also working on the definition of an assisted living care facility, and Mr. Larson brought us 6 pages of definitions from other jurisdictions, how they define assisted living care facility or other uses like that. And there's a lot to work through. Which of these jurisdictions have elements in those definitions that we are interested in using in our own. So our plan in the committee is to sort through that, decide what aspects of those types of uses we want to be able to regulate through the land use code, which we're not interested, where to put those, that kind of thing. And we, as a committee, want to meet in study session with the City Council next week so that we can provide more in-depth detail of that to the entire council, maybe get some feedback from the entire council on how to proceed there, and also talk about any kind of moratorium that we might want to impose on an assisted living care facility.
I'll need to check the agenda for next week, and I'd like to see all this in a written report before we spring it on anybody. The subcommittee doesn't have the authority to make decisions for the full council, and I think you owe the rest of the council an opportunity to review your recommendations. That's the way we do things around here.
Yeah, we're not making a recommendation for the entire council at this time. What we were interested in doing was presenting in a study session where we have an opportunity to present to this council.
And I'll check the agenda. I'm not sure next Monday night will work.
Okay, 3 of us.
Are other things scheduled on the agendas well in advance?
Yeah, 3 of us indicated we did want to have this on the agenda, and under our rules of procedure, 3 members.
If there's room, we'll put it on.
I would really appreciate it if you would find room.
I'll check the agenda.
Thank you. However, I do want to make it clear that 3 members under our rules of procedure have asked for that.
If there are other items on the agenda that take prerequisite over your items, we'll schedule it.
I imagine that those items are not
Mr. Walters,
particularly high priority since they are on the study session agenda and not a regular agenda where they could be approved summarily by the council. So
we don't.
I don't
schedule
see a
or
need,
surprise people.
I don't see a need to have an argument at this session about what should or should not be on the agenda.
I'll control the agenda. If there's room, we'll put it on. If there's not, we won't.
Under our own rules of procedure, the City Council and 3 members of same can add an item to the agenda.
Mr. Mayor?
That is what we have requested for the study session.
I haven't seen a request, first of all.
We can put that in writing for you so that you'll have that.
Do that. Put it in writing, please. And we'll deal with it when it comes in. Mr. Chern?
Thank you.
Comment?
That concludes my report.
Mr. Walters, it's arrogant of you to suppose that you can
No.
just jump right in here and tell us what we've been doing for several years and change it in a week, whether it needs to be, whether it's existing rule or not. Why don't we just discuss at some other appropriate venue before you launch into some discussion like this? I would appreciate it very much.
This is a report of the committee. This isn't.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Mrs. Richardson.
The committee felt that it was useful to update the whole council on some of the things that we are thinking about doing, and we'd like an opportunity to do that.
And we'll find a spot for you.
And that way the council as a whole can direct the committee as to what the priorities are for the whole council, so that we are not making decisions for the council.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Gear.
I think there's, based on there's a perception that we want to stay away from. Outside of what we're talking about here, there's a perception that we need to stay away from, that councils are directing, our committees are directing council. I think we're getting dangerously close to committees wanting to do real work and dig in and get things done, when the council should be directing committees. And that happens by committees saying, okay, here's an idea, let's bring it to council. Council vets everything and directs committee.
Exactly.
I'm all for digging into and straightening things out. I just want to stay away from the perception that no matter what committee it is, that committees are making decisions, directing council, without council really getting into the gist of what the direction is. Just my 2 cents. I just want to stay away from that perception.
Okay, let's move on.